Hour.
We all go a little mad. We get you.
The dead follow legendary.
You are on the dark night.
Here's Johnny.
It's all
Hello and welcome to the Horror Hour, the place we discuss, we debate, we disagree on all things horror. I'm one of the co-hosts here, Yutaka. Hello. And today I'm joined with Liam.
Reed.
All right. And we're so excited to have back on the channel the lovely Miss Toto. How are you today?
Hello, I am amazing. I'm so happy to be back. Like, it's been a minute, and I'm especially happy to be back about the movie that we're talking about today. So it's going to be very fun.
We are going to have a lot of fun. So if you all don't know, coming out this Friday, the 13th, which I just realized, so that's smart marketing, the movie Sick. Yeah. It's directed by John Hyams, and it was written by one of our favorites, Kevin Williamson, with Caitlin Crabb. And it stars Gideon Adlon as Parker and Bethelham Million. Ooh, that's a good name. As Miri. And they are two college students who go to celebrate quarantine at a, what would you call that? A lake house. It's really, I mean, that lake house is nice.
Yeah. A lake mansion.
You have, yes. So I, like, just to even start it off, it was like, the casting was great. But I also knew that specific girl, like I knew the girl whose family had a lake house that they all went to go quarantine at with her. I was like, This is so realistic. And of course, like, it's a mansion because, like, you definitely know some girl in college whose family has a mansion that they just aren't using because that's real. Like,
exactly.
You're just rich.
I mean, I thought that was, again, I know maybe it's still, in a sense, we're technically still in a pandemic, but the way that they kind of put some jabs at this, I thought was quite humorous. And as a horror film in general, too, it had some good scares. It got me twice. I couldn't, nope, 3 times. Yep. Jumped. But it also had some really great chase sequences. But more than importantly, I'll tell you where I jumped. But first off, what's everyone's impressions? I'll start with you, Miss Toto.
I highly recommend everyone to see it, especially because, I don't know, I feel like pandemic movies and, like, virus movies, they sometimes don't hit for me. I'm like, okay, it's a little too on the nose. Like, I do not like this because it makes me feel icky. This, like, kind of made me laugh in the sense of, we were doing this shit and we still are kind of doing this shit and acting in this specific way. Versus, like, oh, look at these dumbass Americans, like, not doing anything. Versus, like, oh, because there was a scene where they buy all these groceries and I was like, I'm not taking this seriously unless they wipe their groceries down. Yeah. And, like, then they go wiping I was like, they did it. Like, they did it. Thank you for doing that. I just thought it was a very honest depiction of, like, that age group going through quarantine without being like, oh, well, like, let's do it on TikTok or whatever. Like, it wasn't, like, too on the nose to where I was annoyed by it. Because, like, not to bring up bodies, but, like, that was a little too, like, oh, TikTok to this. And it was a bit much at times. Yeah. Whereas this was more pulled back from that. It was like, we'll give you those moments to let you know that they're in college, but we don't need to make that a plot point.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
I completely agree. How about yourself, Liam?
I was so shocked at how good this was. Like, we said in our anticipation for 2023, I said I was, like, really quite excited for it because I hadn't heard anything about it. And then I seen the trailer and I was like, oh my God, it comes out in a week. Amazing. So it's like, oh, so good. Something fun to watch. Thinking it was just going to be, oh, it's going to streaming. So it'll be like, be cute. It was so much better than I expected. And the heart palpitations I was getting through certain scenes was just too much. It was so, like, good. I was just sitting there like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
You sure you're watching that movie?
dirty.
I would have
Um,
to agree with you as well, Liam, because I will say, it's been a while since Kevin Williamson put out like a new horror film or wrote. And I think him and Caitlin Crabb wrote a chase sequence, and not scene, like this was a full-on sequence. I swear went like 30 minutes, and it
Literally
was
30 minutes.
so good. Like some of the tracking shots were impressive. I want to know how they did that, but I thought it was so well done with that, and I had a blast. I thought the humor was clever, and I'm not gonna lie, when they were taking shots, every time they mentioned Dr. Burke's name, I chuckled. I was like, I could see that age group out there doing that,
Dr.
watching
Fauci.
or Dr. Fauci.
Fauci.
That's right. They were praising Dr. Burke's, but I was just like, oh yeah, I could see people turning that into a drinking game. Absolutely.
yeah.
And I think there was some clever twists that I didn't see coming, but I also, the way when they're in the house and they do those certain scenes where like they're just standing there and like so many oh my god moments, and oh god, I wasn't expecting this to be also as good as it really was. I wasn't expecting to have this much of a fun time watching this.
Yeah.
I agree. I also think it's cool to look at because it is a pandemic thriller. There aren't many characters in it because of that reason. And like, even at the very beginning, you're automatically set up with like, okay, here's our slasher, here, like, and here are your main characters. And I'm like, it is too early on for us to have one of the three main characters dead. So what the fuck is about to happen?
Yes.
like it is, we're at 20 minutes into this movie, and it was just setting up for like that, oh, we're in for it because so much has already happened in the first 20 minutes of this film that it's gonna just like keep going and building and building. Like that was I think what started getting me like really invested, but also like my heart racing about it. Like you're starting off the film so strong, and with the trajectory that it went, it only just got better until the very end. But like it gave you the stereotypical like horror tropes, like you have your dumbass boyfriend, you have like the black friend, you have like your killer, you're trying to figure out like what's the motive, because I feel like that was my main thing throughout the whole movie, is like trying to figure out what the fucking motive was, because they didn't also set you up with a blatant like this is my ex-boyfriend, or they didn't set you up with like a strict motive. And then to find out at the end what the motive was and all the intentions behind it was also just brought it all back together in like a really cute package, which I loved.
Like they were dropping like these hints that I don't think I didn't pick up on until when they did the reveal. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, well done. Well fucking done.
Yeah. I kept on being like, oh, so that's why you kept on showing me that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I get it. I see.
And I mean, I agree, because when it started out very strong. And so I was like, well, okay, if they're quarantining, and in the trailer, I'm like, I don't think they have like this crazy ass rager. So what's that? But I'll tell you that like it was full on slasher mode, like from that chase scene on. And I was just like, and like, I don't even know how to like.
You're in you're in a slasher and you're like, oh, like that, like I don't know what it is about a slasher, but sometimes there are some like they got stabbed somewhere they shouldn't have, or something got like sliced, and you're like, oh, I know that felt crazy. Every single stab or slasher, every one of them, I was like, oh my god, like are they like, I don't know, it was just the way they like shot it, or the way that like you saw it coming, the anticipation that it actually happened. You're like, it just kept you more and more invested as the story progressed. Like
from
the
very real.
opening scene, you're like, yes.
I mean, I thought the humor was spot on. Like, I do want to say too, without giving too much away, but that raft scene, I thought that was going to be hokey. I was like, absolutely not. Wow.
That is the scene that had me just an absolute wreck. I was sitting, I was telling someone in work today, and I was like, oh, there's this one scene, and she was like, oh, blah blah blah, and then and then our watch went off and I went, actually, you know what? If I was wearing my watch while I watched this, I would have had an alert saying something's wrong with me. I was like, because my heart rate was through the roof.
It was very, like, again, I just was not expecting to have such, like, I was not expected to be like on edge. I was shocked. I don't normally jump at films. That's why I was just like, I can't believe this fucking film got me to jump several times.
Yeah. I feel like this one, I know we're never going to get it. Maybe we'll get it if someone buys a private copy, but like this one would have been fun to watch in a theater with people also reacting. Because like I watched it with my boyfriend and we were both in bed like, and like reacting. We were like, oh my God. Like, and that's something that's so special about watching a horror movie, like with not just like a group of people, but in a theater, like you get the reactions of that. So I feel like if this movie was watched in a theater setting, like people would be reacting as if they were watching like Scream or Halloween for the first time, because like those are like, I got to see Scream in theaters for the first time like last year, which was like insane because I've watched it so many times by myself, but you get a different reaction.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I feel like, right. And I feel like the way that we were reacting just alone, taking that and putting that into a theater setting, like people would have been like, you know, up and cheering or screaming or whatever. I feel like it's just I don't know. I can't give more notes about how much I liked it.
Yeah, no,
I think this would have been a huge surprise hit if it had done theaters. I think this would have been one of them ones where people wouldn't have really paid attention to it, and then opening weekend, a couple of people probably would have seen it on the Friday, and then it would have just snowballed over the weekend because everyone would have started tweeting about it. I feel like this is that kind of film, and it is a shame that it's not going to be in theaters. It probably will be over here since it's not on.
It hit the
digital.
festival market, and it did really well, but I don't think that it did. Like, I think there were a couple other big festival films that people were like, we're going to buy this. So I'm happy that we still got to see it, but I completely agree. The idea of just sitting in a theater and everybody I felt like I was on like a 9 or a 10 because of my heart. Like, so I would have loved to have also been in a theater to see everybody else kind of be like, because I mean, that chase
it was amazing.
I mean, I felt like I was like, I'm holding my breath. I'm like, this is cardio and I'm just watching it. Like, damn. So if you had to, were there any negatives?
Like the fact that I have to think about negatives, I would say no. But this is like, I wouldn't say it's a negative, but it's a note. And I feel like if they were being referential to like stereotypical horror films, like they gave us like a fake out a couple times, which I'm like, we've seen this a lot, and maybe that was intentional because like they didn't, like, if you're gonna stay true to like specific horror tropes, like give it to us, you know. Like this isn't giving anything away, but the introduction of DJ, I was like, we could have done without that because we've seen that before.
Yep.
So that, and I wouldn't say that's a negative critique, but it's just we've seen it, so I didn't necessarily need to see it again. But there were other parts that I have seen before that I also really appreciated in this setting. So my only negative critique would be some of the things, well, that's just with horror in general. Like, it's not realistic for some of these like slash moments for you still to be moving.
Oh yeah,
because I was thinking, I was like, if the girls were like human pincushions at some point, I was like, how are you still moving? Like, very Jenna Ortega Scream 6, like, how are you still Scream 5, how are you still moving? Like, I would have given up personally. Like, my life, I love it, it's valuable to me, but like, I would have given up. I do not have the strength inside of me to keep going after someone has stabbed me this many times.
Tons of times.
Agreed.
I think my only complaint was I wanted to get a little bit more with Parker and Miri, because I mean, again, I'll just say there wasn't as much character development in terms of that. I still love, like, honestly, this is probably, I know we're in 2023, so I can't really say best of, but this is a really good slasher just in general that I was not expecting. But that was the only thing I was like, that's the only thing that didn't connect, because I didn't get to know them as well, even though if I did, I feel like then maybe they would have taken away from some of the scenes that I really enjoyed too. So I was like that it's a give and take. I'm not sure. And honestly, still, that would be like, everything else about this film was like perfect. Like they just
Uh,
they went in.
I would have to agree with you. I do wish there would have been like at least like about another 5 more minutes. And it is a short film. It's an hour and 23
Yeah.
minutes with credits. So
Right.
I don't think adding another 5 minutes on to them getting to the house and everything starting. Adding another 5 minutes with like a little bit more like interaction between them, that probably wouldn't have taken anything away. So that could have been a plus. But yeah, no issues.
I also like that you're leaving it with, because like a lot of horror films, you're like, oh, they left it open for a sequel. For this, they definitely did not. Like, if there's a sequel, I'll be surprised. But they didn't. It was like no room for guessing, no room for like, oh my god. Like it was like, this is the film. The film is over. We're not getting a sequel. Like, and, like if they did it, it'd be a surprise to me. But I like that they just like wrapped it up in a nice, cute package and just kept it pushing. It was like everything was intentional and in a direction.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Some films don't need a sequel. Like this was like I had so much fun. When it was over, I was like, okay, whew, I could breathe, I could, relax, but I don't want, some things just don't need a sequel because then I think it could take away. And what they gave us was like,
Great.
yeah. I think, I mean, again, I would just say, y'all, it's on Peacock. If you have Peacock, this is something to watch. Liam in the UK, for those folks, I'm sorry. That's all.
Like it's literally
Damn.
it's only out in America. So yeah, fuck the rest of the world. But
I'm sure you can. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. You can probably like find it online somewhere.
Yeah.
But, like I don't know if I can't find a movie. I'm like on Google. I'm like, where can I stream this? Somewhere. Like somewhere is gonna give it to me, and I'm gonna watch it somehow.
That's Liam.
Yeah. I get wrong for saying that of you, Taka, because we must support the
Right.
movies.
But
what if the movie
honestly,
isn't in my country?
yeah,
That's what I said.
I get it. If you had to rate this out of 5, I'll tell you, I would give it 4.5. It was like there were very few notes, like you said, Miss Toto, that I think I'm just nitpicking because I'm trying to find something negative because it was such a damn good movie. So that's what I would give it out of 5. How about you, Miss Toto?
I said 4.5 as well. Like I don't know what movie I would give a 5 to. That's a lie. But this one for me, I was like so close to like, I don't know, every emotion that they gave, I was like sold, invested, opposed to like even me being on my phone, I like wasn't, which is rarity for me watching a movie. I was barely on my phone during it. I was like, wow, this is a movie. So I give it 4.5 as well.
Liam?
I am also jumping on the 4.5 bandwagon. And my reason for doing that was also because I did not go on my phone. The only time I went on my phone was to message you, Taka, and be like, holy shit, plot twist, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would just say to everybody, this is a really, I mean, I hope it gets I'm hoping a lot of folks check it out. It's Friday the 13th. Get a group of friends, watch it. Honestly, watch it with a group of friends. I think that would be like, it would
Bring
be
your
a
That would be really
moment.
fun. Maybe I'll have my friends watch it. Maybe I'll have my friends watch it, and I would love to rewatch it.
Yeah, it's so good, you all. So I just want to say, if you do see it, comment down below, let us know your thoughts. If you want to see it, all that good stuff, like, subscribe, notification bell, so you're notified every time we put out new stuff. And more importantly, Miss Toto, where can they all find you?
Oh my God. You can find me on Instagram at the Miss Toto and TikTok and Twitter at the Miss Toto with 2 E's. But I post everything about where I'm going and all my merch and all that stuff on my Linktree and on my Instagram mostly. So I just released a new gore horror. Did you get yours yet, Yutaka?
I did. I meant to, oh my God, it's not even saying anything, but yes, I opened it up. I'm like, oh my God.
I have a couple more of my like gore horror zines of where I do homages to specific horror movies. So if you want one of those, hit me up, and they're really cute. And
They are.
It's like a passion project.
You put so much into it though. That's what's so amazing about it. And honestly, you all, Miss Toto has a Patreon. Just saying, check it out, support, because you get access to tracks, you get to see some of the incredible photos before they're released. Like seriously, I Miss Toto knows how much I love their merch so much. Like it's seriously on my wall over here. So like it all don't know how much Miss Toto puts into some of their creations. Yep, Liam's got.
I know. I was like, yeah.
So you all just go out and support. But also we just love having Miss Toto here. It's amazing. We'll put all their links down below. And until next time, you all, see ya.
Goodbye.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour. See you next time.